The twin suns of Vareth Prime burned like molten gold over the ceremonial arena. Thousands of alien eyes watched from crystal balconies as banners shimmered in the wind. At the center of the arena stood Princess Kirithal, heir of the radiant dominion, tall, elegant, and lethal in her ceremonial armor. Her skin was iridescent violet, her eyes twin sapphires with swirling light. She raised her spear and called out in a voice that echoed through the canyons. "The trials of union are not for the weak." No alien has ever survived them, especially not a human. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Standing opposite her was Ethan Vale, a human engineer from the outer colonies. His jumpsuit was scorched, his hair windswept, and his jaw set with quiet defiance. He wasn't supposed to be here. But when the Virethians captured his exploration team, the Council had offered him one chance to earn freedom by facing the trials, a deadly gauntlet designed to prove a warrior's worth. Princess Kirithal had laughed when she saw him. You're fragile. The wind will break your bones." And then, in front of the entire court, she had smirked and said, "If by some miracle you survive the trials, human, I'll marry you myself." The crowd had roared with amusement. Ethan had simply bowed. "Then I'll hold you to your word, Your Highness." Chapter 2. The First Trial. Fire. The first trial began beneath the crimson archways of the Pyrrhic Forge, a labyrinth, where molten rivers flowed beneath glass floors. The challenge was to retrieve a burning sigil from the heart of the forge without melting alive. Ethan studied the heat vents, tracing the rhythm of their eruptions. "It's a mechanical cycle," he murmured. "Pressure buildup every 8 seconds." The alien spectators watched in disbelief as he moved, not with brute strength but precision. He used fragments of fallen armor to redirect air currents, creating a bridge of cooler gas over the molten rivers. He reached the sigil and returned, burns smoking on his sleeves. The judges blinked in silence. From her balcony, Kirithal leaned forward, lips parted. "He understood the forge?" Her advisor whispered, "Impossible. The forges are meant to defy logic," but Ethan only bowed toward her. "One down, Your Highness." Kirithal hid her intrigue behind a scoff. "Luck, nothing more." Chapter 3. The Second Trial. Shadow Beasts. The next arena was dark, a cavern veiled in shifting mist. From within came growls, whispers, and glowing eyes. The announcer's voice rang out. "The Trial of Shadows. The challenger must face his fears. The creatures of the mist feed on emotion." Ethan gripped a crude spear and stepped forward. The beasts materialized, fluid shapes of black smoke and fangs. They pounced, feeding on panic. But he didn't panic. He closed his eyes, remembering the faces of his lost crew. He let the fear rise, then exhaled it, steadying his heartbeat. The creatures wavered, confused. They needed chaos to survive. Ethan whispered, "You're made of fear. I'm done feeding you." He hurled the spear into the largest shadow. The impact flared light through the cavern, dissolving the beasts one by one. When silence fell, he stood alone, trembling but alive. From the balcony, Kirithal whispered almost involuntarily. He mastered his own terror. Her mother, Queen Aelira, glanced at her. "Be careful, daughter. Admiration is the first weakness." Kirithal straightened, forcing a smirk. "He's still human. He'll die soon." But her voice lacked conviction. Chapter 4. The Third Trial. The third challenge took place in the sky columns, towering stone spires surrounded by hurricane winds. Contestants had to climb to the top and retrieve the crown of breath, a symbol of resilience. Most warriors used flight harnesses. Ethan had none. He began the climb with bare hands, fingers bleeding, wind tearing at his body. Every time he slipped, the crowd gasped. From above, Kirithal watched, her chest tightening. She wanted to look away but couldn't. Halfway up, a gust knocked him loose and he dangled by one arm. For a moment, his eyes met hers across the void. She felt something she hadn't in years, fear for another's life. When he finally reached the summit, lightning cracked behind him, framing his silhouette against the twin suns. He lifted the crown in triumph. The arena erupted in stunned applause. Even the warriors who mocked him now bowed their heads. Kirithal stood, her voice soft. "He did it." Her advisor smirked. "Your jest becomes a promise, princess." She turned sharply. "I never," but stopped. because deep down, she had meant it. Chapter 5. The fourth trial. Heart. The final test was not of strength or intellect. It was of truth. The contestants were brought before the heart mirror, an ancient crystal said to reveal one's deepest self. To pass, one must face what they most feared within. Ethan approached the mirror. It shimmered, rippling like water. Then it showed him his past, his failures, his crew dying while he escaped. He saw himself kneeling by the wreckage, begging forgiveness from ghosts. He whispered, "I can't change it, but I can make it mean something." The mirror's glow softened. The judges murmured. No one had ever spoken to their reflection with such acceptance. Then Kirathal's voice came from behind. "And what do you see now, human?" He turned. "I see someone who's still learning what strength really means." She stepped closer, her eyes searching his face. "And what does it mean?" He smiled faintly, knowing when to stop fighting and start building. The crystal flared white. Ethan had passed. Chapter 6. The Oath. The crowd fell into stunned silence. The herald's voice trembled as it declared, "By decree of the Dominion, Ethan Vale has survived all 4 trials of union. The vow of the princess, made before the court, must now be honored." Gasps swept the balconies. Kirathal stood frozen, the weight of her own words echoing in her mind. Ethan knelt before her. "I don't expect a crown or a marriage, Your Highness. I only wanted to prove that a human's heart is no weaker than yours." The princess's expression softened. "And yet you hold both your pride and my promise." The queen rose, her voice thunderous. "The law binds all who swear before the court. Kirathal, daughter of Aelira, you will uphold your word." Kirathal turned to Ethan, her tone somewhere between disbelief and admiration. "You have changed the meaning of our trials, human." He smiled. "Maybe they changed me too." Chapter 7. The ceremony a week later. The Palace of Light prepared for an event unseen in history. A human and a Varethian bound by oath. Ethan wore ceremonial armor gifted by the royal artisans, light silver plates lined with energy veins. Kirathal's gown shimmered like liquid starlight, her crown pulsing faintly with her heartbeat. As they stood before the altar of unity, whispers filled the hall. "She'll never go through with it," one alien murmured. "She'll humiliate him," said another. But when the priest called for the joining vow, Kirathal surprised them all. She looked into Ethan's eyes and said, "When I swore that jest, I thought humans were creatures of chance and fragile, foolish, fleeting. But you proved me wrong. You faced death not for glory but for truth, and for that I give my word freely." Ethan bowed slightly. "Then maybe the universe isn't as divided as we think." When they touched palms, light spiraled upward, weaving around their hands, the bond of the Varethian union, ancient and binding. The crowd gasped as the ritual completed. For the first time, 2 different species shared the same glow. Chapter 8. The aftermath weeks passed. The Dominion no longer whispered of insult but of alliance. The princess who mocked a human was now an emblem of peace. Ethan walked beside her through the royal gardens where flowers floated above luminous ponds. Kirathal sighed softly. "Do you regret it?" He looked up. "Which part?" "Being tied to a creature with scales and temper." He laughed. "You forgot pride and perfectionism." She smirked. "Careful, husband. I could still have you exiled." He grinned. "And miss our morning arguments?" "Not a chance." They walked in silence for a moment. Then Kirathal whispered, "Do you know why our trials exist?" He shook his head. "They were made to teach warriors how to conquer fear. But after you, I think they should teach us how to share it." Ethan looked at her, warmth in his voice. Then maybe we both passed. Chapter 9. The storm and the promise. Months later, an invasion force threatened the Dominion. Ethan volunteered to lead a rescue mission through the same forges where he once faced his first trial. When he left, Kirathal pressed a pendant into his palm, a crystal that glowed with her pulse. "If it ever stops shining," she said, "it means I've stopped believing you'll return." He kissed her hand. "Then I'll make sure it never fades." Days later, the battle was fierce, but the mission succeeded. Ethan returned, armor scorched, eyes weary, but alive. As he stepped into the throne hall, the pendant in his hand still glowed bright. Kirithal smiled through tears. Imagine my face when you actually survived again. He grinned. I did, and it was worth every scar. Chapter 10. Epilogue. The new trials years later. The Dominion no longer held the trials of death. Instead, they held the trials of unity, where humans and aliens faced challenges together, not to conquer, but to understand. On the balcony overlooking the new arena, Ethan and Kirithal stood side by side, older but unbroken. Below, new generations prepared to begin their own tests. Kirithal rested her head against his shoulder. You turned a joke into a legend, Ethan Vale. He smiled, eyes reflecting the twin suns. And you turned pride into peace. Their hands intertwined, the glow of two worlds bound forever. And somewhere in the wind, the echoes of the old trials whispered one truth the galaxy would never forget. Sometimes, love isn't promised, it's earned in fire.